Well, here we are. Hello, everybody. So this is a Sedona Method Goals Workshop. I'm Stephen Carlson, and we're going to start this call with a nice group release on the topic of goals, how we feel about goals, our past experiences, and everything else. So let me just get that started. I'm going to ask you to mute if you don't mind, or I'll mute you if you don't do that. It's okay. And there we go. So, right. So just allow, hello, everybody. Just allow yourself to settle, allow all to be as it is. And just think about the topic of goals, setting goals, and how you feel about that. Just notice what comes up, give it permission. And if you can, open yourself a little bit further with curiosity. So just notice what came up. Any thoughts, emotions, feelings, sensations in the body, stories, memories. Just allow all that to be here as it is. It's always useful to remember it's here anyway. Why not just give it permission? And then check for any resistance, any feeling of no, any hold back, or any wanting to figure out why you feel the way that you do. And just open yourself up to resistance. Allow resistance. Welcome it. And then just check any chance this might feel personal. These are your goals, right? So can you just allow and welcome that feeling that it's all personal? All right. And then let's just check into the past a little bit. There's a chance that you might have had an experience or two trying to set goals, whether they be New Year's resolutions, or maybe career goals, or maybe personal goals. And what happened? Check and see. You might have stories of failure, disappointment. There might also be stories of success with a feeling of pride. Pride's tricky. Pride is that sense that I did it, but I'm not sure I can do it again. I did it, but I might screw it up this time. So just allow yourself to welcome the memories of past goals and your experiences. And just notice the stories, the feelings. Check into the body and see what sensations are stirred up. And just as best you can you open yourself to all that's coming up? It's here anyway, so could you give it permission? Yeah. And then notice any resistance, any holdback. And just welcome that, give that permission too. And then check and see if it just might feel personal. What a surprise. These are your goals, and it's all about you, the story of me. So give that permission too, open to that. And then if you're willing, if you're ready, could you let that go? And would you? When? And then check into any expectations about setting goals. See how you feel about your chances. Some of you might be skeptical because why even try? You might also feel a little hopeful, but still doubting. Just notice whatever comes up in the sense of the future, and just allow that and open to that just as best you can. Give it permission. And then let's just check. Any resistance coming up? Wouldn't be a surprise. So just for now, could you give it permission? Allow resistance to be here just like that. Give it permission as best you can. And check and see if this feels personal. And if so, could that be welcome? And then when you're ready, could you let that go? Are you able? And would you let that go? Are you willing? When? And then here's a nice little trick that I learned just now on a recent course called Financial Liberation with Hale Dwoskin. And what's interesting is that if we feel resistance towards our goals, it's the feeling of, I can't. But sometimes, just sometimes, if you check, if you're open to exploring, you may discover what that really is I won't. And if you're open to the possibility of I won't, what you may discover is that's actually a lot easier to release. So let's play with that as well. When you think about your goals and how you feel about goals in general, just check for any sense of I can't. And that's the resistance. So just welcome that as best you can. And then, if you're willing to play with this, could you be open to the possibility of I won't? And just welcome that, open to that, give that permission, and see what happens. And whatever came up, could you just sit with that a moment longer? And let's just check and see any chance that might be showing up in the body as well, because often this does. And again, let's try another shift. Could you be open to the possibility that what's happening in the body is just energy? Doesn't need any explanation at all. Doesn't have any reason. Doesn't need one. Could you just be open to that? And if so, would you give that energy permission to do just exactly what it needs to do, whatever that might be, and just see what happens? And just for fun, let's also check and see, is that really you? Are you that energy? Are you that sensation in the body? Or are you that which is aware of all sensation? And notice also what happens when you take that perspective. Notice what happens in the body and just allow it, welcome it. And then when you're ready, could you welcome the energy of I can? That's courage, by the way. And notice how it feels. One thing I know about each and every one of you is there is courage. There's courage because you're here. You're on this call. You're making the effort. You want to release on your goals. So just open yourself up to the courage that you are, that is naturally there, present at all time. And could you welcome that feeling of, I can? Just notice how it feels. And by the way, if you're not careful, there might even be a smile on your face. So just welcome the feeling of, I can. And allow that to sit for a moment. Enjoy it. And that feels like a good point to stop. So, welcome everybody. I'm glad to see you all. And again, I salute your courage in joining the call and your willingness to work on goals. So, on our last call a week ago, this is a series of workshops. There's also one next week, the last one. On the last call, we spent most of our time working with goal statements. And so I know that some of you still need a little help, but hopefully we can spend less time on that and spend more time on releasing and on action steps as well. Again, this is a 90-minute workshop, so we're going until 9:30 Pacific. Again, we may go a little extra if we need to, but we'll see. So let me just check in with everybody. Does anybody have a goal statement that they'd like help with? Would anybody like to raise their hand and get a little help? And again, specifically, I'm looking to help people with how their goal statements are formulated. So I'll just give it a minute. We can all enjoy the silence and see what happens. Well, that wasn't much silence, but you're welcome to unmute. Nice to see you, Cicely.
You know, it took me a minute. It was on the raised hand thing.
Perfect. Good to see you. So,
well, I don't know if that, I'll tell you something. I don't know if this is a gain or it's just the way my body did. But when we just went through that exercise, it's kind of like when I started all three of them, like I won't, I can, and I have. It's kind of like when it first started, I was getting nothing. But like on the I won't one, it's like the longer I looked at it, it's kind of like my body was like, oh, good. Now we don't have to get out of our comfort zone. We could just continue playing it safe. And so then when I checked it out with the I can do it, it was quiet to start off with. But then it kind of like start looking at, well, now you can get out of your comfort zone and be the courage and do the courage.
absolutely.
So it's kind of like, and I was okay with either one of them for some reason.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Mhm.
That really, and by the way, I didn't even say that, but you're welcome to share gains. In fact, I highly encourage it. It's really wonderful to inspire others with your gains, but it's also important to note the progress that you're making just for your own benefit. So terrific. Well,
And
Cicely,
then-
can I tell you why I go ahead?
Oh no, go ahead. I was going to give my goal, but I want to hear what you're going to tell me.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I was just going to say that I was going to tell you that the reason I used that particular wording, which again I learned on Hale's course, is because it's been enormously beneficial to me.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah, just because I'm running these workshops doesn't mean I'm also not releasing. So yeah, Cicely, so you wanted to work on a goal statement. Let's do that.
Okay. And it's kind of like I don't know if you call it my financial one or because I'm trying to start like a women's self-empowerment company club or something like that for my income plus for my career,
Mhm.
for a lot of things. So, and it's not something that's new. It's been like in my mind for a couple of years now, and it still hasn't gotten off. And it's kind of like I'm seeing now that I'm having a lot of childhood things that were deeply entrenched, and I didn't even think about it till yesterday, like the role, as far as my mom and kind of like constructive criticism and why I have these thoughts that I'm not good enough and all that. And that last call we were on, the lady, when she was doing the circle, like the anatomy of a thought or a feeling or something, I found that in the book, and it's like I've been trying to work on that and jumping off of that circle wheel. And it's so as far as how I had it framed, it was like just I allow myself to have a successful woman's empowerment club with ease. But I didn't put nothing as far as like the financial things or how the success is going to look.
Well, how does that goal feel to you? That's important to know. Does it feel right to you?
It feels right to me, but it feels simple. I don't know. I have a way of complicating things. It feels like there should be just a lot more to it.
I'm really glad that you raised that. That's so a couple points to make. One is this. Yeah, obviously we all have things that we want to do in life, and that's why we want to have goals, right?
Yes.
Yeah. However, in a very sneaky way, it turns out that this process is really super valuable because of our opportunity to release all the different barriers. And so, yeah, all the childhood stuff comes up, doesn't it?
Yes.
And I think for that reason, go ahead.
No, just like the childhood stuff is kind of like until you're able to be aware of it, you don't realize, or I didn't, that it's what's running you. What do they call them? The governing beliefs or something like that. And
Absolutely.
like you don't really realize they're there until a question makes you look at it. And then it's like, I went off that wheel. I'm 45, not 7 anymore. I need to get on a different one.
Exactly. Yeah. Or even what would it be to experience life without those programs and limitations entirely?
Yeah.
There's no need for any kind of program, is there?
Just do it. Yeah.
So that's excellent. Yeah. What you've pointed out is so there may be a lot of things that come up with this whole process, and that's all good. In fact, that's extremely valuable. And for that reason, I think your goal, even if it feels a little bit simple, may be perfect for you.
Well, because there's even though it feels simple, there's this thing. I don't know if it's just a story, but ever since I've been had it, I've always thought, well, I got to actually go through the things that my future clients will be going through, so that whenever they go through their issues, I'll be able to understand it and give them tools to work with. And so that comes along too. Like even now, I feel like I'm at a good breaking point. Like this year, something major is going to happen, but it's kind of like there's still that doubt, but there's still that this is it. You're getting the final pieces. Instead of, well, you got enough already with what you got.
But notice what you just said. This is important. You were saying that you felt like you had to go through difficulties so that you had the experience and could talk about it with your clients, right?
Yes.
Well, so is it possible you're planning to have even more difficulties secretly?
Well, yeah. Well, see, I don't know. It feels like that's been my life, because I used to be in a religion, and it's like I wouldn't be having no problem. But then I go to a door on a Bible study, and I hear a person having a problem. I'd be like, well, they just need to do this. I'll be thinking it in my mind, and I'm like, they just need to do this. Next thing I know, I got the problem. And so, and I started getting mad at God for a while. Like, I wasn't trying to be mean. I just wanted them to, just see how simple it is. But then when I started having a problem, I thought, man, that's why it wasn't. So it's not as easy.
Well, so then notice what this is. Is it possible this just might be a story?
Yeah.
Right.
Stories I've had a long while.
Well, and if you've had it a long while, then you might be a little bit invested in the story as well.
Mm-hmm.
You have the sense
and that's why I'm not wanting to let go.
Well, sure.
Like it's wanting to stick to me, or I want to hold on to it.
Right. You spent so much time and effort with the story. I mean, you're just going to let go of it like that, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't it have to mean something? Doesn't it have to be? And again, it goes back to what you said before. Like, I have to suffer a lot because, if it's easy, then I don't have anything to say to my clients, right?
Yeah, I won't be able to understand what they're going through.
Right. Well, what if that's all nonsense? Would you be open to that?
When you say it like that, yeah, but like about an hour before I got on this call, it would have been like, I went through all that for nothing. But after this, yeah, I could be open to that.
Right, right. And again, you mentioned this whole idea of the circle of the
But
problem,
I think the
anatomy of
master
a
problem,
problem,
I think
right?
they
So
called it.
if you've invested so much in the problem, then the mind is going to step up and defend it because, damn it, it has to be worth something. And then it becomes even more real and so forth and so on, right?
Yes. Yes.
Well, so again, though, if we can talk about it like this, doesn't that mean that it's actually not real? Do you have a sense of that?
Yeah, because it's like I'm watching it.
Uh-huh. So just for a moment, could you just allow it to feel as heavy, weighty, serious, and solid as it seems to? And then when you're ready, can you allow it to be as unreal as it truly is? As substantial as a cloud. You can put your hand right through it. It doesn't mean anything at all. You have a sense of that?
Well, see, in this moment, it doesn't feel heavy at all. It's just like it's just there. If it's even there.
So,
Try to find it.
all right. So again, could you let go of wanting this to come back in future?
Yes, yes. I want to let go and just see what the news coming up.
You want to let go, but would you?
And see, now I guess that's where it feels a little like it's attached to me, like a little personal.
Yeah, sure, of
Like
course.
it's
Notice, sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you've spent a lifetime
like,
working.
and what is it going to look like if it's not there? What's going to be there instead of this hobby?
What would I be without that problem, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's like I'm excited to want to know, but then the actually letting go so that I can find out. Let's just say, yeah. Well, it's like I feel okay since I'm in this group. So while I feel kind of safe, I'll go ahead and say, yeah.
There you go.
Okay, I'll let go.
There you go. And when?
I just did.
There you go. And by the way, everybody else knows exactly what you're talking about. This is universal. We all work this way. This is just how the mind works, and we all have one. So what you're doing is of benefit to each and every one of us on this call, actually, to one degree or another. So let's just check and see. Is it really true that you have to suffer extraordinarily to become a good teacher? Or is it possible you suffered enough?
It's possible I suffered enough.
Okay.
Even possible now, a thing like that, I didn't even have to suffer all that.
Right. What if who and what you are is enough just as you are? Could you be open to that?
Now, what came up with that was, if I'm okay as much as I am, I got to do it now. And there's a little getting out of the comfort zone again. But I want to get out. So, yes, I'll be okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to be out of your comfort zone, or would you just rather enjoy freedom? It's the wanting is what I'm talking about. Notice that if you want to be out of your comfort zone, you still aren't there yet. You're still in the comfort zone, right?
Well, it's funny. I was thinking about something like that this morning. It's like I want both. It's kind of like I want the simple life, but I want the experience of, being out of the comfort zone. But and then I was saying at the other day, like at the end of my life, after I experienced all the whatever I'm gonna do in this life, I want a little cabin, just a little simple life. I might, have it big in the middle, going in between there, but at the end, I can be happy just in a little 1-bedroom apartment with bills paid off and just sitting on the front porch and looking back on all that I accomplished.
Right. But you still talk about this comfort zone, and that's a very common thing for people to say. But in my experience, it isn't true. You see, is it possible that what you call being out of the comfort zone is just simple excitement?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So interesting, but we have two things, anxiety and excitement. And they're really the same thing.
But can they be the same? Because it kind of feels like it's the same. Like I get anxious, but I'm excited at the same time. And then a lot of that makes me, I'll go eat like a lot. Well, I already ate this morning, and it's kind of like, then that'll make me sleepy. And it's kind of like, then I feel, it's like another circle, another story. But yes, it feels like anxiety and excitement can be right there together.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of a choice because the anxiety contains a holding on and a fear, right? There's a worry attached to it. It's a sense that it's going to turn out okay. That's anxiety. But the same feeling really is anticipation or excitement. So
well, see, it must be more excitement because I don't really feel the fear there. I just feel the, not knowing, but it's not like a fear of it. It's like maybe like I said, an excitement or an anticipation.
Well, could you enjoy excitement and anticipation?
Yes.
Yeah. Could you welcome that feeling that you call being out of your comfort zone, that feeling of excitement, anticipation? And could you just welcome it and enjoy it? You'll notice there's something kind of thrilling about it, isn't there?
Yeah, it feels like I'll be going wild and full speed ahead, and I want to control it, like slow it down some. Well,
again,
slow down.
Again, the whole idea that you're controlling anything is an illusion.
Yeah.
But just in case, could you let go of wanting to control?
And when I do that, it's like just acceptance for whatever is going to happen.
Yeah, exactly right. And by the way, one thing I loved about your answer was all the silence.
It's been getting silent a lot more. Thinking that's good.
A lot of us, for me running this call, for example, when you first start doing these kinds of things, the silence is a little bit intimidating. Oh my God. But no, it's a very, very good sign because the mind is falling silent. The mind, doesn't have any further work to do, so it just sits. And that is very good news.
Because I heard it somewhere. It said, don't look up, because when you look up, you're trying to get the answer from your mind. But then when you look down, you're getting it from within. And I think it was one of your calls. You said, like, look towards the heart. So I've been looking down, like, and closing my eyes a little bit.
Maybe here's something that could help you, I find. Just putting your hand, I'll hold myself up a little bit, putting your hand on your heart focuses attention on the heart. So yeah.
Make it feel warm and
right.
lighter.
Yeah. So that's right. You can make your decisions with your heart and not your head. It's a lot easier and a lot more comfortable that way, frankly.
It feels peaceful now.
Exactly. So, Cicely, I think it's time for me to move on. I'm going to.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. And good. So I'm going to invite the next person who'd like to ask a question, share a gain, get some support. And by the way, Leva, I think we're good for now. I can take over if you need to leave. She had to leave a little early. Thank you so much. And everybody else thanks you as well, Leva. And by the way, I'm going to stand up for just a second because I want to clear out the counter. I was criticized once for having a cluttered countertop right there. I would really rather just clean things off a little bit here. There we go. Much better. So, what happens next, everybody? Would anybody like to step up for a question, a little support, share a gain, work on a goal statement? Oh, I see that Kirsten has unmuted. That could be a clue. Did you want
Yes. Hi. We had last week my goal. I allow myself to enjoy the safety and comfort in my new home. Right. I had a viewing yesterday for a new flat. It was catastrophic. I cannot now you cannot imagine, you cannot give somewhere even the look on such a mess home. Today I should have an other viewing, but the lady said she was ill tonight. She couldn't, and I got a massive panic attack that I don't get in a new flat, a new home in time.
Would you like
So
to panic a little bit?
a little bit.
I'm just guessing.
Yeah, this was. I think I did everything today. I tried. You know. Oh, it's the echo. I hear myself.
Oh, well, I don't hear the echo. I think we might be okay. Kirsten, let me just help you for a second. I can.
Good.
Could you welcome that feeling of what could you recall as, sometimes we can replay the memory like a film. So just allow yourself to recall the feelings of panic.
Yeah.
And allow that feeling to grow. And
It's horrible.
yes, of course, that's why I didn't say welcome. That wouldn't be something you really want to welcome. Could you allow it? Give it permission. Because again, it's here anyway in the background. Could you allow it just as best you can?
Mm-hmm.
And so on a scale of 1 to 10, and 10 is the maximum, how much is here?
10.
Perfect. Could you open up even to 11?
12.
Perfect. That's great. And would you give it permission to be here even just a few more seconds or maybe a minute longer? Would you allow it? Not forever, just for now.
Yeah.
Okay. Take a breath or two. Don't forget to breathe. Put your feet flat on the ground. Sit up straight. And just allow it all to be just like that, since it's like that anyway. And so, does this show up in the body? Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. And would you be willing to try an experiment?
Mm-hmm.
What if that feeling in the body had no reason, no explanation, and no name? What if that was just energy in the body? Could you be open to that?
Yeah.
And would you be open to that?
Yeah.
When?
No.
And again, deep breaths into the body and just focus entirely on what's happening in the body. This is just energy. And let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen a storm that lasted forever?
No.
No, of course not. And so this is exactly the same as what happens in the body with the energy of emotion. It's just energy in motion. So would you give that energy the permission to do just exactly what it needs to do, just for now?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. And now let's just check inside. Is that you? That energy, those sensations?
No.
What are you that which is aware of energy and sensations? Again, remember to breathe deeply. And notice the difference in how things feel when you take this perspective. Yeah. So check back in the body and see, on a scale of 1 to 10, how intensely are things coming up now?
I would say 11.
11, well, that's fine. Is it shifting? Can you feel that as well?
No.
No, it's still solid the same way?
hmm
Or would you give it permission to be just exactly like that for now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, I notice the quiet, which is also a nice thing. Can you just allow yourself to feel the peace that is also here? That may be a stretch. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can sense that it's starting to open up a little bit. Yeah. And again, this may be useful for everybody else. So sometimes when feelings come up very, very intensely, it can be upsetting, alarming. I know that everybody understands this. We all feel this way from time to time. And the natural reaction is, I don't want to feel this. And even though that's the natural reaction, that tends to bottle things up. It stops the flow. The last thing that we want to do is to actually sit with that feeling and experience it. But the truth is, that's really the only way that it begins to release and flow. Because again, who here has ever seen a storm that lasted forever? It's not how it works. So let me just check in with you, Kirsten.
Yeah.
Could we leave it like that for just a moment?
Yeah.
Okay, then I would encourage you just to remain like that and just as best you can, hold that space as you're doing. And you'll see it'll continue to release.
Thanks.
And maybe we can check in a little bit later if you'd like to. Thank you for stepping up. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? I noticed Maxine, wonderful. Could you unmute and we can talk?
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. This has been wonderful. I missed the first. God, are you hearing an echo or is it just me?
I don't know if you're hearing an echo.
Oh boy.
I hear it too.
It's not.
You know what? Can you hear an echo now?
Well, no, the echo was on my end. And no, I don't hear it now.
Well, anyway, whatever happened, let's just be happy with it that way.
Wow. Yeah, right. Whatever. First, I want to just kind of mention a game that happened this morning, actually. But to back up a bit, I'm having some work done around the house, and I had no idea of how much it would cost. But of course, I made up a preliminary budget in my head. And it turns out that the contractor, who I think is very, very competent in terms of being able to, bring it home, do it in a way that I'm happy with, his estimate was 4 times what I thought, 4 times my initial estimate. So I was kind of hyperventilating for a while. And of course, I was releasing pretty consistently. And at the same time, I mean, in terms of just kind of carrying out my own due diligence, I felt like, since I don't know anything about this area, maybe I should get another quote. And I called someone else, and they were a no-show. And I kept going back to this other, to the initial contractor. I just really liked him. I looked at some of his work, and I was happy with him. And so when he sent me the estimate, I just kind of sat with it for a day, wanting to release, wanting to just not try and figure it out. And I eventually responded, and my email, and I just read it back to myself this morning. It was very calm, and it was very honest, saying that there's no way I can go with that figure. It just, it was far beyond what I thought. And I think that I really need to get a second estimate. So he responded this morning, and he himself wrote several alternatives to what the original plan was, which lessened the estimate by 50%. Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so wonderful. Just not, I couldn't even conceive of him lowballing his own estimate.
Right.
I guess it does happen, but it just wasn't in my consciousness at the time everything was happening. And all I can say is that I just kept releasing on it. I don't really know how it's going to all unfold. I just know that I deserve to have this beautiful thing that he's wanting to help me manifest. So that
Wow.
was huge. Yeah, that was huge.
That's a beautiful game. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, very
Right.
much. Yeah, very much. Thank you.
Hmm.
But in terms of, present day goal setting, I have several projects, and maybe for this exercise, maybe I'll just focus on just relaxing into having what I need with respect to all the house renovations that are upon me. Yeah, I feel a little overwhelmed by that. I feel overwhelmed financially. And so, I'd like to just release the stress around not having, just not having enough money, not having enough resources, to feeling more confident and able-bodied that I'll have everything that I need to get this job done. Yeah.
So what you just said now almost sounds like a goal statement, doesn't it?
Oh.
Do you see it?
Now I do, but yeah. So, okay. Well, for the sake of just time and what have you, I'll just refine the language. And
that's okay. This is what the workshop is all about, is to help you come up with good goal statements and release on them.
Okay, great.
By the way, I think you're probably the only person here that feels financial pressure. Okay.
Good. Great.
Right.
Great. So what I just said was, help me kind of recall what I just said.
I allow myself to have enough resources to complete my project.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I allow myself to have
Enough resources
enough resources.
to finish my renovation, to complete my
Uh-huh.
project, whatever language you prefer.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Wonderful.
To
That
complete.
right there is a goal statement.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That took us a long time, didn't it?
That was wonderful, Stephen. Yes.
Well, you said it, not me.
Yeah. Well, you brought my attention
Happy
back
to be of
to
service.
what I said. Yeah. And it's true. It's like after I said it, it did feel like a goal statement. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Great.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for that.
Good, good. Cheryl, I see your hand up. Would you like to unmute?
Hello, this is my first time
Glad to meet you.
being bold and here and talking. It's pretty great. I've been doing Sedona for many, many years, and I did the Liberation course, which was amazing, and I did the Love course right after that, which was brilliant. So I have, again, I'd like to suggest is
Oh, let's hear it.
I've been sort of unemployed, and I used to be in first response, and I retired. And I was worried about money, so I was kind of releasing on that in the financial liberation. And it was interesting because my daughters are all grown up, and I got back pay from child support for like $10,000 just showed up in the mail. And it was like crazy. And then somebody phoned me and said, "We'd like to offer you this job."
Wow.
And so I'm just going to sign this agreement today, which is similar to my job in first response, but it's like working with community at a community level, solving community problems. And so it's right up my alley. And so then I was a little bit worried about references and what people were going to say, because I didn't kind of leave my job in a great way. And so I called some people from my old life, and everybody was absolutely thrilled to give me a reference. And I was like, wow, like, it's just so amazing. And what I had to let go of was this attachment to selling myself for money, like for this sort of paycheck. So
Right.
so this job's going to be really kind of similar to what I used to do, but complicated and challenging. And I'm good with conflict. But there's this belief about the word systems, going into systems, and it not being personal, or me detaching from that, like to go in and try to do the best I can without getting kind of lost in the bureaucracy of systems. If you could help me support that, I would be absolutely grateful.
I'd be delighted. By the way, let's see. $10,000, a job offer, and terrific references. Can we all agree that's a wonderful gain?
Huge gains. Yeah, I'm so grateful I took that course. And it's funny because when I started the course, my goal was I would like a job.
Right.
And at the end of the course was I live happy, joyous, and live in freedom, which was
Happy,
awesome.
joyous, and live in freedom. It's a wonderful goal. Yeah.
Yeah. And people, when they first started the course, are like, I would like to find joy. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? That isn't even like, you don't understand why you're here, clearly. And then and then by the end of it, I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you said that, because one thing I know for myself, and other people have said this works for them too, joy is my compass.
Nice.
If I'm not feeling it, it's not worth pursuing. And I find that as I let go, I can just tap into a natural joy. But yeah, so the thing is that I do what I do on these calls. I hope it's obvious. Well, maybe it's not, but it's with joy. It's a joy to be here. It's a joy to do this. It really, truly is. And, you know, when I find that there are things that I think I should do that I don't feel joy about, well, that's a sure sign that I need to be releasing a little bit further on that. So let's just, you said systems, right? So
Yeah.
let's just see if we can do a group release here that might apply to everybody here.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So for Cheryl, it's systems, and this is again related to work, right? It has to do with dealing with the world. It has to do with whatever it is that you. So our work really is about engaging with the world, right? And so just as you think about your work and how you engage with the world, just notice what comes up, any kind of block or barrier, the systems, the bureaucracy. Everybody knows what it is. There's something for everybody, I'm sure. You know, it may be dealing with technology. It may be paperwork. It could be, again, I know you can all fill in the blank. So just notice the feelings that come up around that. Just allow that as best you can. And it's also good to bring a little curiosity. So just invite up whatever feelings come when you think about your work and what it is you don't like. Notice the memories, the stories, and pay particular attention to feelings in the body as well. That's important too. And just give that all permission to be here. Because guess what? It's here anyway. So, and then notice also the opposition, the struggle, the no, the hold back, the resistance, the desire to control this, change this, make it different, make it go away, hold on to it, figure it out. And just welcome that, face that, allow that. And then, guess what? It does feel personal, doesn't it? It's all about me. It's my job. It's my struggle. And just give that permission, the feeling of that. And again, take a deep breath or two because. And then let's just take a look and see. Is any of this actually you? It may feel like that. But isn't it also possible that you are that which is aware? See if you can get in touch with that. Aware of sensations in the body, aware of thoughts, aware of feelings. And notice, thoughts will come and go. Feelings, they show up in the body as sensation, but then they shift and they move. So just allow yourself to rest as that which is aware for a moment longer and notice the shift in how this feels. And then, when you're ready, could you let all of this just drop? Are you able? And by the way, yes is good as no. No is good as yes. It doesn't matter either way. Whatever came up is fine. And would you let this go? When? I wonder, was that helpful?
Is that a question to me?
Hmm.
Hmm.
And you unmuted, yes. Perfect.
Yeah, it was fascinating because my little voice inside was like, oh, there's evidence. He doesn't know. There's evidence. Oh, here's some more evidence. And I was like, wow. And when you separate from that, I imagine putting it all in this really heavy backpack, which I've been carrying for decades.
Right.
And it just like threw it on the floor, let it fall and just drop away. And because
Yeah.
I got into the work back in, a long time ago was to help people.
Yes.
And I get to just do that instead of helping people with this with this bureaucracy, with the systems, with these limits and barriers. Just
Right.
do my
Well,
very best to help people. And yes, so thank you so much. I appreciate it.
and there are systems, and there are, when you deal with people, yeah, it's things do come up, don't they? Yeah.
And I think that I made it personal. That was a personal attack when it was a no. You
Mhm.
can't do this or that. And you hear no enough times, you give up, right?
Yeah, but there's also even a secret kind of delight in this struggle.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, it's sort of like, oh, there they are again doing that to me,
Mhm.
You get to feel the victim of the world, and that sort of gives you a sense of righteousness and, being the oppressed. And it's a huge, by the way, playing the victim, it may be obvious to some of you, is a hugely popular game these days, right?
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I did a lot of work on addiction,
Mm. Yeah.
and it was interesting how I was addicted to suffering. And the bureaucracy and the system created this victimhood, and that I was seeking evidence to find it. And I was like, wow, how long have I been a victim or addicted to this bureaucratic suffering? And it was fascinating. And so I know that it's present here, but it's definitely not as strong as it was when I started working on that addiction. And so thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it, Stephen.
Great. Well, glad to be of service. Okay. And thanks for stepping up for the first time as well. In fact, I noticed that there are several people in this call who I haven't met before, who are new. And I know it's maybe a little bit daunting to raise your hand if you haven't done this before, but would anybody like to? And by the way, I'm perfectly comfortable with silence. Okay. It might be time to do some releasing. Unless Cicely wants to say something, go ahead.
Well, because normally I'm not okay with silence. So I said, let me see how I feel like being okay with silence. And from there, it was good. So that went quite a while just for that little bit of silence.
To me, there's something a little bit delicious and generous about silence. In fact, I'd even go as far to say that, when you really know somebody and you're really intimate with somebody, then you're comfortable sitting in silence. You don't need to say anything to, fill the space. Well, okay, though. Let's release on our goals. So, again, I'm hoping everybody has a goal statement to work on. And that's kind of an invitation. If you still don't have a goal statement, you can work on it with me or not. Okay. So if you're ready, take a breath, allow things to be, allow things to settle. And then say your goal statement out loud or to yourself in your head, however feels comfortable. And I'll do the same, by the way. I happen to have one I'm working on as well. And so notice what might have come up. Any kinds of tension in the body, any memories, any images, sounds, feelings, stories. And give it permission, give it space, allow it to be here. Breathe into it a little bit and give it permission. And then check inside and see, is it possible there could be a desire to control this? And if so, can you welcome the desire to control? And then, when you're ready, could you let that desire to control drop? And would you let it go? And when? And then, could you open yourself up to the possibility of flow, ease, synchronicities, the possibility that things just happen? Now, let's do that again. Think of your goal statement or say it out loud. And I'll give you a minute to do that, and I'll do it myself. And just notice the reaction. Notice any thoughts that kicked up. Notice sensations in the body. Images and sounds, stories, beliefs. Just allow all of it to be here. Just as best you can, give it permission. And when you're ready, is it possible there might be any desire for approval in relation to this goal? Check and see. And this could also be approving of yourself or disapproving of yourself. Could that be welcome here? Give it space, allow it to be like that. And then, when you're ready, could you let that go? Could you let that drop? Would you let that go? when. And again, just take a breath or two and allow it all to go. And then, just as an experiment, could you just give yourself approval? Don't even need a reason. Try it and see. Can you just give yourself a little tiny bit of approval? Just welcome it up and see what happens. Could approval be welcome here? Okay. Back to the beginning. So allow yourself to read your goal statement, say it out loud, say it to yourself, whatever seems appropriate. I'll give you a minute. And just notice what came up. Just give yourself a moment and notice the sensations in the body, any beliefs, any stories, and thoughts. Give yourself permission to experience that. Give it all permission to be here. And then check and see if that might have kicked up a desire for security, safety, survival, any feeling of defensiveness, or maybe even a feeling to just let it all go and drop and die. To just give up. Whatever came up, can you just allow it, welcome it, give it permission to be here? It's here anyway. And continue to breathe. And then, could you let that go? And remember, yes or no, doesn't matter either way. Would you let that go? And when? And then, could you open yourself to the possibility of safety, security, trust? And again, could you welcome trust, safety, security? Okay. Back to the beginning once more. So just repeat your goal statement, read it to yourself, say it out loud. And notice any feelings that came up, any thoughts, any sensations in the body. Images, sounds, stories. Take another breath or two and give it all permission to be like that, since that's how it seems to be. And then check and see if there might be a desire for wholeness, one, unity, harmony. Or even a desire to reject, cut off, and be separate. And whatever came up, could you just allow it to be like that? And then, when you're ready, could you let that go? Would you let that go? And when? Could you be open to the possibility of harmony, wholeness, oneness? And then, since we're here, check and see. Is it possible there might just be courage right here, right now? And in case you're wondering what courage is, I would remind you of the words of Pippi Longstocking. I've never done that before, but I'm totally sure that I can do it. Can you welcome the feeling of courage? The feeling of, I can. And by the way, courage is always here. It just gets hidden sometimes. It gets hidden behind all of the thoughts, the feelings. But if you call it, it comes. So can you welcome the feeling of, I can? The feeling of, well, I haven't done that before, but I'm sure I can do it. And just allow that feeling to be here, the courage that you are. It takes courage to walk out the door in the morning, my friends. It takes courage to get out of bed. It takes courage to come on a support call. And it takes courage to pursue your goals. So can you just welcome the feeling of, I can? Just allow that to be here. Allow that to be who you are. And that feels like a good moment to stop. So I'll take a sip of tea. If anyone wants to step up, that's fine. You're welcome to do that. Ask a question, get some support. Oh, hello. Did you want to say something, Cicely? No?
Yeah, my mouse is acting up. It's funny because I don't know if it's because I'm a Leo or whatever, but that when you said that with the Pippi Longstocking, like whenever I'm on a job for other people, that's my mentality. It's kind of like if they want me to do something that I've never done before, it's kind of like at first if it'll be like, I don't know, I ain't never done that, but then they're like, well, how can I say I can't do it if I never done it before? So now I got to try to do it. But now I just want that to be transferred to something I do on my own. But when you said to welcome approval or give the goal statement some approval, it's kind of like at first it was going good, but then what was stopping me was coming up. It's like whenever the more I started saying you're amazing, you're good at this, you're giving myself positive comments, then my mind started going, that's prideful, that's ego, that's haughtiness, that's arrogance. And the way I was born, it was like a wrongful pride. You're not supposed to be happy with what you're doing. You're supposed to give all credit to the creator and this and all these stories. Just but awareness. That's what I'm saying. The awareness. I wasn't realizing that that was there. That it's okay to say you're doing good for the good things that you're doing, and you can do it right here in the system.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. It's a really good point. We could call that false humility. It's the feeling that any feeling positive is just you being too whatever.
Well, and that it won't last. It's like, oh, you might have a temporary bout with goodness, but it's going to go away soon. But you said false humility again.
Well, yeah. So pride. Let's talk about that. Pride is that sense that, okay, I've accomplished something, I've reached a certain position, but I could lose it. I'm not sure I can do it again. It's there's a pushing to it. And pride also contains this possibility of a fall. The expression, right? Pride comes before the fall.
Yes.
Right. Well, so that fall is shame. Pride and shame, they come in a kind of a pair sometimes. And so
Can we release on shame? Because that is one issue, because it's kind of like, you say, what's the worst thing that can happen to me if I do this? And it's not that I'll die, it's that I'll get embarrassed or I'll be shamed. It won't work. I don't fear death the way I fear shame and embarrassment.
Well, isn't that true? For example, public speaking is something that I've practiced for many years. And it turns out that most people are more afraid of standing up in front of a crowd of people than they are of dying. And it's exactly for that reason, which is shame. Well, okay, we can do a group release on that, because actually, here's the thing. Anytime you step out to do something, there's the possibility that somebody is going to criticize that. And maybe not even for any valid or justified reason. All you have to do is look at the internet, right? And see how happy and willing people are to just cut the other person down. And what is that? That's shaming, public shaming. And so let's just do a nice group release on shame. That's a perfect topic to work with, because again, any goal that you try to achieve, it comes with the possibility of shame.
And can we do it with shame and not allowing control to be there with it, with the shame? Because whenever I think about, going through it without the shame, it's kind of like I find myself controlling. Like when I'm on the internet, if I post a comment and I think somebody's going to try to reject it or whatever, I'll try to word it in a way where if they reject it, it'll make them look bad. So I don't want the back with it. I just, whatever comes up.
Exactly. Yeah. Maxine, I saw you wanted to say something.
Yes. Thank you for this topic of public speaking. I just freeze just at the thought of it. And I have something coming up on the 7th that I'm having to kind of present my work. But that comment that you made about others wanting to publicly shame you, I find that, especially in the context of public speaking, that I do far more self-berating than I get from my audience. So it definitely shuts me down. So if we can include how we talk to ourselves as well, that would be really great. Just wanted to add
contribution that. For sure. Let's do that. Okay.
Great.
So then in connection to what you just said, public speaking, first comes the fear of shame. Well, okay, let's just do the release and we'll do it. So just allow yourselves to just come to rest and allow all to be as it is, just for now, for this moment. And just imagine a situation where you feel ashamed. Now, it could be a memory. There might have been something that happened in which you felt very, very shameful, in which you were shamed. But it also could be your anticipation of being shamed. And again, very often, we're the ones who are doing the shaming of ourselves. And it's sort of preemptive because, if I'm running the risk of being shamed, I'll shame myself first, get it over with. So whatever came up, just allow the feeling of shame. And shame very often expresses in the body. So just welcome as best you can, the feeling of shame, whatever memory, whatever anticipation. And allow it to come up as intensely as it might. And pay attention to the body. Notice what's happening. And welcome up any sensations in the body. And just as best you can, open to that. Give that space. Give that permission. And don't forget to breathe. It's a temptation to hold your breath. Allow yourself to breathe through whatever's happening in the body. And even, it might also help to put your hands on the body to wherever the sensation is the most intense. For me, it comes up shame, mostly in the belly, actually. So allow the body to feel what it feels and allow yourself to breathe deeply, slowly. And if it helps, put the hands on the body to focus the attention. And now when you're ready, could you just drop any description, any story, any memory, and just allow this to be raw energy. Doesn't need a name, doesn't need a reason, raw energy. And continue to breathe into it and just allow it to be like that for just a moment or two longer. In fact, could you give it permission to be just like that? Check for any sense this is unwanted, uncomfortable, that you'd like to do something about this. Let go of it, perhaps. And could you allow that resistance as well? And let's go back and forth. Could you notice the sensations in the body? And notice the resistance to feeling that way. The discomfort, the no. And notice the feelings in the body and allow them to be as intense as they might want to be. In fact, even could you welcome it even a notch more? And then notice also the no, the I don't want to feel this, I don't want to deal with this. And then could you welcome both at the same time? The feeling of, well, whatever it is, the energy in the body, however intensely it may express, as well as the no, the hold back, the I don't want to feel this. You can feel both at the same time. And continue to breathe into it. Might also help to keep both feet on the ground. Sit up straight. Just allow it to be like this, whatever energy is expressing in the body. And here's a twist if you're open to it. Just play with this and see what happens. Is it possible that this energy in the body is actually love? That might seem like a really crazy thing to say. It might help you to ask this question. Is that energy trying to help in some way? Is it pointing in a positive direction? What you may discover is that energy is actually trying to protect in some way, defend in some way. There might be some positive intent to it. And if that's true for you, how could this not be love? Well, it might be wearing a carnival mask, but could you be open to the possibility that whatever is being felt in the body, however it feels, could this be love? And could you allow this and hold this and give this permission? And could you welcome it? And a further stretch would be, again, we're just going to pretend here for a moment. What if this were the most delicious, delightful thing that you've ever felt in your life? Could you savor whatever sensations are happening in the body? Just breathe it up and savor each delicious drop of that sensation. And I know it might be a stretch, but you can try. But notice also the shift in how everything is expressing in the body. It's not the same as when you started. So could you just welcome all of this with delight? Just as best you can. I know it's a stretch. And continue to breathe into it. Direct your hands in the body to where it feels most intense. Keep your feet on the ground. And just breathe love. Allow yourself just to relax into the feeling of love. And if it helps, you could welcome gratitude. These are all related energies, by the way. They're all different names for the same thing. So could you welcome gratitude? Gratitude for being on this call and working together. Gratitude for your ability to let go. Gratitude for, well, whatever. You can think of somebody that you particularly love and just direct your love and gratitude towards that person. Doesn't matter. Can you just welcome gratitude and love and courage? And notice that they're all the same. That's the beautiful part. And if you're ready, that might just be enough for now. Hello, Kirsten. I see you unmuted. Yeah. How are you
Yeah, I
feeling?
just heard you won't say goodbye, and so I wanted to say goodbye and thank you.
Well, let me check in with you. How do you feel? We were working through a little bit of panic, and that might have actually applied to what you were doing now.
I don't get this panic out my body. That
You still feel
I
panic?
I did today in this panic writing some emails on people what could help. I did an appointment for my car. I did everything just to do something, but it doesn't help.
Well, we could play a little further with that if you'd like. And I don't think anybody else would mind. Would you like?
Of course.
Okay. So notice what you just told me. Is it possible you've just been doing your best?
No.
Oh, no? You haven't done your best?
No, because I couldn't resolve the problem what I have.
Oh, well, so that doesn't mean that you haven't tried, correct?
I tried, yes.
Yeah. So just for now, could that be enough that you tried?
Yeah.
Yeah. And could it even be possible that you did the best that you can just for now?
Yes.
Well, in that case, could you just give yourself a little gratitude? It might be a stretch. Could you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And could you open up even just a little bit further to gratitude?
Yeah.
Yeah. But notice also there might be still that sense of struggle. I have to push. Do you feel that too?
Yeah, the problem is I don't know what else I can do.
Right,
You know?
right. Of course, of course. Well, and you won't know.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because the answers don't come from you. They never did. They never will.
Okay.
They don't. Right?
Hmm.
You know, do you think, well, and this is again for everybody else. Yeah. There is this sort of sense that if only I could push a little harder, if only I tried a little harder, right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, well, that's kind of a loop. That just gets you going, you know, round and round in frustration.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a sense of that, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, what if, just what if, that pushing is really what keeps things stuck?
Could be.
Could be. Could be. Yeah. Just for now, could you just let go of wanting to fix things? Let go of wanting to be unstuck? Could you just surrender just for now?
Yes.
And would you?
Yeah.
And when?
No. Whoa. Yeah.
Okay. And even that, you just felt that, didn't you?
Mm.
Pushing, 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 pushing. It all comes from good intention. Of course it does. And it gets you where? Stuck.
Yeah.
And I know it doesn't make sense because everything, everything about it says you have to keep pushing, but that doesn't help. So could you just be open to the possibility that answers come when they come?
But that might be too late and I'm on the street and I'm afraid of that.
Well, could you welcome that fear and sit with that for just a moment, since that's here anyway? Could you? As best you can?
It's just here. It's here, so why
Well,
not?
since it's here anyway. Right. And this might be a stretch, might be a twist. Could you let go of wanting that to happen?
Yeah.
And would you?
Yeah.
And when?
No.
Yeah. And notice also, again, there's still this sense of, I have to push, I still have to find solutions. You notice that, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, isn't that just the mind doing what the mind does?
Yeah.
Well, could you just be grateful for the mind, for how much it tries? It's putting up quite a fight, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's exhausting.
Well, exhausting, of course, but again, isn't it just doing its best to help?
Yeah.
Well, so what else is there to do but just offer it gratitude and love for doing what minds do? This is what minds do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And could you give the mind even just a little bit more love for all the effort and struggle?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, even just a tiny little bit. And notice, even just that tiny bit helps enormously already. Yeah. Already it starts to loosen things. And could you just love the mind for doing what minds do? It's trying to help.
Yeah.
And even more.
Yeah.
And even more. See, every one of us has heard the whole idea that the ego is bad, the mind is bad, we have to fight it, destroy it. Well, that's just setting you up for a battle. The mind is always ready to have a fight. When
And
you
he
try to-
wins.
Hmm?
And he wins.
Yeah, you may have noticed.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this is just the mind doing what the mind does. It's doing its best to help. And so what else can we possibly do but just to feel the love and gratitude for the mind doing what minds do?
Yeah.
And answers come from the heart. And it
Mhm.
might even help to put your hand in your heart to feel that. So could you just feel the power and strength of your heart and just open yourself to solutions that come from the heart, from love.
Yeah.
And again, notice the difference in how that feels.
Yeah.
And by the way, I know that each and every one of us can relate to the situation perfectly. So can we all just allow gratitude for minds doing what minds do? What else could they possibly do? That's just what they do.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful, magnificent, powerful mind it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was strange today because there come things up in my mind in this panic, like I need still to to go to the garage for my car for reparation.
Yeah.
And I did that, and then I had to write this email on this one woman from the council. I just did that. I just this pop up one after the next, and even stressed me more.
Yes. But it's possible you've done just as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Right. And so could you just allow gratitude, just allow love for this enormous effort?
Yeah.
And by the way, all of what is releasing now, know that this is available to you now as strength. Do you have a sense of that?
Oh, I hope so.
Well, in my experience, that's what happens. There's an enormous amount of energy which goes into this fight. And as you let go of the fight, that energy is liberated for other purposes. So
Nice.
could you just open yourself?
Yeah.
It even helps sometimes to use a gesture like that, to open yourself and allow all to be as it is. You've done enough for now. Could you be open to that possibility?
Yeah.
Maybe what the best solution could be just to give yourself a break. You've done enough for now.
Okay.
Maybe you need to take care of yourself. Give the body a nice bath if that's what helps. Maybe go for a walk. Maybe whatever it is, just enjoy whatever time you can. And just, so could you just be open to the possibility that answers come from your heart? And that all of this is actually serving you in the greatest good. All of the pressure that you're feeling, all of what you're releasing right now is of enormous benefit to you, and not just to you, but to everybody.
Okay, thank you. This feels good.
Great. Wonderful that you stepped up. In fact, I think all of us could be grateful to you for the courage that it takes to come onto this call and to share your vulnerability in such difficulty. Oh, Cicely is raising her hand. Do you want to say something?
Oh, I didn't realize I was raising my hand, but whenever she was saying, because I know when I first started releasing, like back in 2013, because I've been doing it on and off, I didn't really know what a release felt like. And if that was Miss Kristen that I heard yarning, to me that looked like she was releasing. And like a lot of times I would release, I would be yarning, but I didn't know that was a form of releasing. I didn't know laughing was a form of releasing. I didn't know crying was a form of releasing. And then when I couldn't see pictures, I would think I was doing it wrong. But a lot of times it's like when I go back later, it's like I say, wait a second, I do feel a little different. Things are looking a little bit different. And so for a while, I keep like a gratitude journal or synchronicity. I got to get back into that because it's kind of like sometimes if you're under so much pressure in the moment, you can't see what's being lifted off of you. But then when you walk away and look back, you're like, wow, something did happen.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody. I think we've come to a natural end, and we're going to do this again a week from now. And yeah, I look forward to working with you. And I wish you all the best in the fulfillment of all of your dreams and goals.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
your
so
help.
much, Stephen. This was wonderful. Yeah, very helpful.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Everyone have a great rest of your week. Looking forward to next week.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, then we're going to stop the